Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. We're just going to take a quick look here at Bitcoin this weekend, see what's going on. 101,000. I wouldn't say it's struggling at all, but altcoins are definitely doing so. I would recommend just kind of maybe pausing trading for maybe a 24-hour period just until things stabilize, unless you're planning to short some altcoins. But you may actually be at the bottom here, and a lot of alts are starting to bottom out. So it's not really ideal trading conditions, in my personal opinion. Right at this exact moment. Now, when it comes to the overall sentiment with Bitcoin, it broke free from its a little bit of a descending resistance, which essentially is a bull flag pattern here, and it has since retested that as a new low. So good news is this does look like a not premium, but a proper entry for a potential long position. Okay, just again based on that little bullish back test there. But again, that's more of a smaller term time frame, and I do generally not recommend trading on the weekend. So there's that as well. And again, specifically because volume dries up on the weekends, and volatility gets all sorts of funky. So it's not usually the best conditions to trade. So just kind of throwing it out there in case you're not familiar. Once again, I'll always recommend best practice for you because that's just kind of how I am. And in general, I trade the same way myself. So you will see a lot less trade signals on the weekends. I might say in the occasional one if it's like a perfect situation, there's an established direction. Right now, this weekend doesn't have that. So to quickly understand how next week might shape up here, we do have a lot of liquidation between 102.5 and 105. We have known this for a little while, but it's starting to build up a little bit more. So if we take a look at liquidation delta, you can see that we are a bit on the overextended side here. So this correction that we're seeing today, this little bit of a pullback, is actually nice. We want some profits to be taken, or we want longs to be closed. One way or the other, it would help, of course, because if this delta stays too high for too long, we can see potential pullback. So just know that this is not a great sign here with this being this high for the last, two, almost 3 trading days. If it continues much further, then we're going to go ahead and see maybe a bigger correction. So it's actually healthy that Bitcoin's pulling back a little bit, and or folks are securing profits. If we take a look here at liquidation, the open interest rather, once again, 97,000 is that consistency there. Some folks are adding to their position at 100,000. You see a good chunk there, but for the most part, 97K is that heaviest concentration in the last week's worth of trading. So let's take a look at the daily time frame, work our way down. On Monday, we always look at the weekly closure, but at this point here for the daily time frame, we want to recognize we're still over the 20-day SMA. We're over 50 on the RSI. The overall sentiment here on the macro is pretty good. Okay, so again, there's nothing really that's going to change on that until we start closing below that 97K range, which we did for about a 24-hour period, but we've held pretty strong at 97,000. That's a good, strong support for us for the moment. You can see on the 4-hour time frame, we're over the 20-day SMA still, 50-day as well. These are generally positive signs. So while it's not like, again, optimal conditions to try to take a trade, we can see that local point of control at 101.4. That may be a potential resistance for us or support if we close above that today. Again, you can see ever since we've been in this upper range here of 100,000 plus, we can kind of see that the average price point is for the most part 101.3, and secondary to that again 96/97,000. So again, that's just points of control. That's where people have invested the most, and that just kind of gives us support, tentative support and resistance ranges, right? So anyway, so we're kind of in a nice support range between 97 and 101. Okay, that's the easy way to understand it. We're still over 50 on the RSI, which is generally positive. Money flow index is looking pretty decent here. That's definitely a good sign. I wouldn't say it's phenomenal, but it's not like dropping super hard. Stochastic is swinging down, and MACD is trying to diverge. So again, if we don't break out soon, we may actually see the price action pull back. But we are starting to build a bullish type of rectangle pattern here too. So you got to recognize that's actually quite favorable. Again, it's kind of hard to see. Let me go ahead and make it a little easier for you. Here, we could just do this and pretty much just use these guys here. So again, oftentimes you'll see bullish rectangles work in a situation where it derives from the downside, comes to the upside, keeps retesting resistance ranges. So in this case, roughly 102,000. And then it establishes slowly higher lows here. So hypothetically, we could very well see a breakout here soon. Again, this is a weekend, folks. I wouldn't expect sunshine and rainbows, but that's a possibility here. Hourly time frame, still mostly positive here. We're above the cloud, which is good, but conversion line and baseline starting to compress. We got the lag and span within the price action. This is all normal behavior for rectangle type of patterns, or just more importantly, range bound activity. So until we establish a different type of range, we can presume this will continue. A resistance at 102 roughly, I'm rounding down a little bit, and the support at about 99.5. Okay, so 99.5 upwards of 102,000 is that range that we're in right now. Until we break free from that, we can presume it'll continue. That's generally the concept. Again, not ideal conditions to trade. Unless you're a range bound trader, you could hypothetically short to roughly 100,000, maybe find some success at this point. But again, it's a weekend. I don't necessarily recommend it with volume being low. It doesn't make a ton of sense. The key takeaway here is that taking along with altcoins right now at this exact moment is probably a bad idea, just based on how poorly they're responding. But again, they are starting to find their bottom too. So maybe it is advantageous to consider a long, obviously, depending on the coin. So there's a lot of different caveats there. I'll try to cover a couple more here today, but for the most part, pretty dry weekend from what we can see here, and fairly stale in that sense, and I don't really like to trade these conditions. That's just me personally. What are your thoughts? Why don't you comment below? Let me know where you're at on Bitcoin. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment below, and obviously join us over on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you want to gain more perspective on the coins that I cover. And then obviously join us at Bitunix too, folks. $12,000 deposit bonus this month. Every month they offer new trading competitions too, so I'm sure next month they'll have something really fun planned for us. But either way, use my link to register. You'll be eligible for all those in the future, and I hope that you find benefit with them. No KYC or VPN required exchange. Have a good day, folks. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.